Hello, welcome to my channel. I'm Tiffany, retired librarian turned homeschool mom. And in this video, we're going to be looking at this old film. So this is, if you're watching this in order, this is April. I'm deciding to cover the Titanic. And this is the first video I am covering on my Titanic series. And it's very, very early. I haven't literally got through January or February or even March yet. It's just, me and my husband have to watch this. So I have a hold of it. So I might as well make the video. This is being filmed on the 30th of March of 2023. If you have any idea what the heck I'm filming this. And yes, my voice is rough right now because it's spring and it's allergies. So this is the film, again, Unsinkable Molly Brown. It stars Debbie Reynolds and Harve Presnell. So this came out, I believe, in the 60s. So, yeah, this is 64. Now, this is a musical that is very loosely based on the life of Margret Brown. Pull up her. And no, she was actually not known as Molly. She was known as Maggie in her life. The Unsinkable Molly Brown was something that she gained after she survived the sinking of the Titanic. So when she actually tried to unsuccessfully urge the crew of lifeboat number 6 to return to the debris field to look for survivors. She was born Margaret Tobin. She is an American. She was born in Missouri. And she eventually, in this film, she does marry a John Tobin. So, and I think that was her husband, yes. Yes, because this was in the 1800s. So, let's see. No, these were her parents, sorry. Tobin was her maiden name. And then she married James Joseph Brown, also known as JJ. Now, he was a minor, and the film depicts her being raised as a tomboy to an extent, in the middle of nowhere, having been picked up in a basket and being raised as a single father. Obviously, by a single father, which of course is not true. She did have parents and siblings, and I believe they were miners or coal miners. She does intend, as the film depicts, again, a lot of this is singing and dancing. This is Debbie Reynolds when she's very, very young. So, which is kind of interesting because she looks very, very different. I'm used to seeing her older. So, but in the film, she goes to a different town. She meets and falls in love with this John Brown, who courts her. And he's a miner. He's a gold miner. And he does hit the mother lode. And they become very wealthy. And they move to Denver. And she desperately wants to be part of Denver society. But as opposed to in the film, that's kind of what they show. And they're desperately trying to get involved in Denver society. It also shows her and her husband drifting, particularly, and then they decide to go to Europe. And Molly is very happy in Europe, and this is very true of the real life Maggie Brown. She was very, very happy in Europe, but then they go home, and her husband do eventually split. At the end of this film, they get back together. In real life, they do not. It also doesn't show the fact that they had 2 children. It does show her, in the film, they split up. She goes back to Europe, and she decides to go home to him, and that's how she ends up on the Titanic. And it doesn't actually show that much. I was expecting to see more of the Titanic. It's not. You do not really see the Titanic at all. She's on the Titanic. It eventually sinks. She's in a rowboat. She survives. She becomes famous. She comes home, and her husband is there kind of to greet her in the bedroom. And then she's accepted into Denver societies. None of that end part happened. She was never accepted fully into Denver society. She did prefer to be in Europe. The reason she was on that boat was because she was in France visiting her daughter, and she got a call that her grandson was ill and was rushing home, and her daughter decided to stay in Europe and tour Britain with her friends. And so it was very much by chance that she was on that boat. She was also and her children did not like this, she was a philanthropist. So she really liked to give to the poor and the uneducated, and she really liked to help people out that had been similar to her. Her children were not happy about this. Her and her husband didn't, as far as I know, they never actually divorced. They separated, but they never divorced. So she was still entitled to a decent amount of his money when he died. Because I do not believe, I'll pull up the Wikipedia here. Let's see. Yeah, she was never able to get entry into the elite group, the Sacred 36. So, who were held by Louis Snidhill. So, Brown apparently called her the snobbiest woman in Denver. So he was not interested, in real life. And they drift apart. They were married for 23 years. And they signed, they never divorced. They signed a separation agreement in 1909. And she received $700 monthly, which was thousands of dollars now, to continue her travels and political work. So she fundraises for the Denver Cathedral of Immaculate Conception, because she would have been Catholic. And then she worked with, she was definitely helping destitute children and helped in the juvenile courts. So the film kind of shows this. There's a lot of singing and dancing. There's a lot of her learning French. It definitely demonstrates how happy she was in Europe, which is where she really was happy. She was not particularly happy in Denver because she was still kind of ousted. Yes, she did marry a poor man when she did not intend to. She did, in fact, as the film projects, want to marry a wealthier man. That's why she had gone to the town where she was. She was looking for a wealthy miner. And she married a poor one, but she was in love with him. She really did love JJ. It's just once wealth happened, they just separated because she was very much not necessarily just into the money, but into the society life. And she learned, besides French, I think she learned a couple other languages. She was very good at language. She was very happy in that educated society, and he was not. So again, they were married for 23 years. So, and they had 2 kids. So, and the kids, for some reason, were not happy with her philanthropy, probably because she was spending money they thought was theirs. And then, of course, they were second generation. They'd never been poor in their lives. They've always been rich. So, they were not, I think there was a dispute between her and her kids when her husband died. So, and she died, I think, in 1936. So, this came out in the 60s, so she never saw this film. But it's an interesting, fun film. It does not involve a lot of the Titanic. It does kind of embrace the character that was Margret Brown in that sense, in at least the basics of their life and how she really did want to become part of Denver society. Though it does again show that happy ending of her and her husband getting back together and her being invited to Denver society, which of course never happened. So, and of course it cuts out her children and why the heck she was on the Titanic in the first place. So they cut out a huge chunk of their life. She hadn't been, again, it was 1912. Her and her husband had separated a couple of years before. So, and of course her children, I think they probably stayed married until their children were adults. So, because again, they were married for 23 years. Oh. Sorry, it is almost 8 o'clock and my child is active and I had a bar class this morning. Hopefully by the time you see this and see some of the other ones, I will be a little bit slimmer, or at least in better shape by 2024. But it's a good, fun film. If you're looking for old musicals, again, this came out in the 60s, so this was very much the old musicals, most of this, I don't believe any of the film was shot on location anywhere. So let's see where it took place. Where was it filmed? Tell me. Connections, soundtracks, filming locations. Pretty sure most of this would have been filmed on Hollywood backlots. Filming locations, yeah, Black Canyon, Garrison National Park, Colorado. I'm clicking here. California. Yeah, this was pretty much on location. So it was either filmed in the national park in Colorado or it was filmed in MGM in their studios in Culver City, California. So again, the filming dates it was filmed in '63. So again, this is very much a typical Hollywood musical of the time, and you do get to see a very young Debbie Reynolds. So obviously she was very, very famous because I'll bring this, see if I can show the video. There a little bit. You can see how big her name is on the front of this. So, as well as his. But she was still probably pretty famous at the time. So, really fun film for homeschoolers if you're looking to look at old musicals, if you're really interested in Debbie Reynolds. Let me double check. When was this in her career? I'll click on her. Give me just 1 second here. I can get this. I'll click on Debbie Reynolds here. Let's see how early this was in her career. She was born right around the time Molly Brown died. We were born in '32. So, certainly all that she was known for. Let's see. Let's go actually down, because obviously she's been in a ton of stuff. So, let's see. This was... So this is the '60s. Her career started in '48, where she was uncredited. So her first film was as Maureen O'Grady and the daughter of Rosie O'Grady. So, and then so the Unsinkable Molly Brown was still, I'd say, early in her career if I can find it. She was in a lot of stuff, of course, I've never heard of because, again, it was filmed in '63. It came out in '64. And she had another film called Goodbye Charlie that came out that same year. So this was pretty early on in her career. She is relatively young here. So I enjoyed it. Me and my husband both enjoyed it. Again, if you're looking for a real big film on the Titanic, I obviously will have other films during this month. Including Titanic, which I will do. That will be my last film. I will cover the actual Titanic. I think I own it. But this is a really good film if you're looking for the early musicals. And what went on. And for a loose representation of her life, again, they play with it a lot, and they shorten it a lot, and then play up the love story like crazy. So... that's the end of this video. If you like what you see, be sure to check out the rest of the channel. Again, this is being shot very early. Obviously, you guys will not be seeing this for another year. By the time you guys see this, I will probably be on to 2025. Maybe. We'll see. But this is the first video of my April Titanic videos. I don't know what books I am covering this month. I will see if I can... figure that out. Give me 1 second. And yes, I have everything planned for that right now. So let's go up to April. So yes, this is my Titanic. So you guys will be seeing, I think the Unsinkable Molly Brown is the very beginning. Yes, this is the first of my films. I'm also covering the Road to Avonlea right now. So we have the next one is the book that I'm covering that's going to be starting is I have a Dear America, which will have come out by the time you guys see this, Voyage on the Great Titanic. the story of Titanic's chairman, Ismay. He was, if you're familiar with the film Titanic, they did him badly. He was a guy who didn't actually see, he was one of the builders. He was not evil. He paid for a lot of the gravestones and graves and burials of a lot of the people who couldn't afford it. I know this because I have pictures, and I took them. I've been in one of the graveyards in Nova Scotia. Not a recommended. I do not recommend going there. Me and my husband did not have fun on our honeymoon in that specific location of Eastern Canada. I'm covering another book called Titanic Blood and Steel is I think it's a TV series. And The Luck of the Titanic is the book. And then A Night to Remember, which I believe is one of the earliest films on Titanic. And then I'm covering a fun book called Casper, the Titanic Cat. And, of course, at the very end, I'm covering Titanic, the epic Cameron film that, of course, how can I not just cover Titanic? So that is my Titanic. Of course, you guys will be finishing off the Anne of Green Gables book and film series at this time as well. And then we're going to be going in, if you're interested, the Boxcar Children is what's coming up next via book series. So, no, I have not shot them. This is my first shooting for 2024 because I have it out right now. So the Dunwally books that I'm going to be covering come December are going to be very, very similar because I have them right now. So if you like what you see and want to see more of my Titanic videos, or check out, I'm doing Dunwally, I'm doing the Anne of Green Gables, I'm doing Boxcar Children, I'm doing Wings of Fire later this year. I'm covering a bunch of class. Ellis Island, Angel Island is going to be covered in 2024. So, and a bunch of other stuff. I've covered African American History Month. I'm coming Women's History Month. That will be shot videos that you'll all already have seen for March. Along with, let's see, I'm covering a bunch of other stuff off the top of my mind. And yes, I have most of the year already planned out. I think I still have some stuff to do. I'm covering Beauty and the Beast this year, come September. If you're interested in Cinderella, I covered her a couple years ago. You can check underneath that playlist. So I covered various iterations, both film and book of Cinderella. So be sure to check out the rest of the channel. Check out what I've got. I have a decent amount of stuff. I started the channel back in like 21. And you can see my videos evolve. So be sure to check out my Anne of Green Gables series. A bunch of other stuff. So be sure to like and subscribe and leave a positive comment if you have one. Thank you.